Survivor's ready. Go!
Travis spoken.
Boston Rob and Amber are gonna do it.
This is a business trip, as I like to say.
You, Brad Culpepper.
I'm tired of you and the fucking chicken.
You can call me the puppet master. They can be my little puppets.
It's not like you're making a deal with the devil here.
You get to milk your own milk, I guess.
Who the hell voted for me?
Chicken.
Damn! We got enough rocks here, too. We could build a pretty decent shelter just using rocks.
I'm supposed to talk Lima to you. You understand that better?
Direct from Hobart, it's time for the only Survivor podcast in Australia dedicated to Survivor, bringing you all the latest interviews, episodes, and opinions from the greatest reality show on the planet. It's Survivor Oz, and here's your host, Ben Waterworth.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Survivor Oz, Australia's #1 TV and film podcast, as we continue on our Survivor Cambodia episode recaps, episode 10 and 11, a double episode this week. And after I had a week off, I'm back in the chair again to talk to a former Survivor contestant and one of our very dear friends on this show. She's just such a good friend of this show that I barely even need to message her. She just rocks up one week. She's just like, Ben, I'm coming here this week because I want to chat about Survivor. I'm like, okay, we'll clear our schedule.
Because I miss you.
Yes, exactly. It's that simple. You know, we might have Colleen Haskell on there. We're sorry, Colleen, we don't want you on. We've got Purple Kelly on the show. Here's Purple Kelly Shinn from Survivor Nicaragua. Kelly, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be back.
So excited to have you back. It's an annual thing now. Well, it's not just an annual thing. It's biannual. Every season. That's 2 a year. I can count. It's
every chance I get, I'm on here with you guys.
Exactly. I'm expecting you when Australian Survivor comes back next year to be on every week and talk about Australian Survivor.
Oh my gosh, I'm ready to apply for that.
You should.
It's an application.
Yes. Like just.
I don't know if they would accept me, but that is going to be real.
just come out here, become an Australian citizen, and just put your application in. I'm sure you'll make it. It's, you know, not that... they apparently received 5,000 applications in the first week. It's a record or something for a TV show on that network, so...
Oh my gosh, I'm not even surprised. And you know what? Everything in Australia is bigger and greater than everywhere else in the world. And so it's like, as soon as you guys start Survivor, we're going to be pretty close to doomed over here, I'd say.
Well, we tried our hand on it about 13 years ago and it was rubbish. So as long as they do a better version than the first time they tried it,
you guys got this.
Hopefully. But season 31, Kelly, Cambodia, Second Chance. Have you been enjoying this season so far?
You know what? I have. It has been. I mean, there are good episodes. There are bad episodes. You know, but I am loving it. I think it's such a fun idea to have the whole second chance thing, and some of the people that we voted on to be watching them play. I think it is really fun, and I was all for Spencer coming back for second chances, and he's still in the game. So can we talk about that?
Of course.
That is awesome.
So Spencer, so I'm guessing he was getting all the votes from you then when the voting period was open earlier this year.
You know what? He was. But I was also voting for Troyzan, too. And so I was really disappointed. I was so disappointed that Troyzan didn't make it on. I thought about boycotting the entire season. And then after the first episode, I was like, I can't do this. I love this TV show too much.
Yes. I'm there with the Troyzan disappointment. We actually had him on a few weeks ago and talked to him a little bit about it. But... yeah.
Oh my gosh, don't you love him?
Oh, he's so good. I love Troyzan. I love his season. And, look, I could easily take a couple of the people out from this season and put Troyzan on. It's disappointing. Well, he'll surely come back, though. I mean, he's the type of person that's definitely going to come back and play for a second time at one point.
You know what? I think that they're holding out for a better season, you know, like an all-star or some kind of other crazy season. They'll call him back for sure. I don't think it's the end of his Survivor days.
Yes, I agree with you. Now, I guess a lot of people always wondering when we get people on this show, Kelly, throughout this season, did you get the tap on the shoulder? Did somebody come and ask you if you want to be back to put your name up to be voted back on this season?
You know what? I did not get that tap on the shoulder, but it was really fun hearing from people that did, and I'm understanding that some people actually did decline that offer, which I thought was kind of interesting. But I think CBS did a good job on who they chose to come back for the most part.
It's interesting, I guess, from your season. I mean, a lot of people were sort of questioning, that why wasn't Marty on the list? Why wasn't Holly on the list? You obviously have a couple of people from your season that perhaps deserve to come back. Were you surprised that there weren't any Nicaragua people on that list as well?
You know what? I was actually a little bit surprised. And I just think, well, I guess Fabio, he's already won, so he couldn't go back on. But even somebody like Benry, he's young and he would be totally great in the middle of a season like this. I think he would do really well. And so I am surprised, especially considering they had, 3 or 4 people from Cagayan, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, come back. And it was, so yeah. I mean, I was a little upset about it, but then it's all good.
It's all good. Again, I feel...
We'll make it back to another season, I'm sure.
Well, I was going to say, I feel that a couple of those surely, will make it back. I mean, you got to look at, say, Terry Dietz making it back onto this season, Andrew Savage, these are people whose names were always put out there as potential, second chance players in the past, and
right.
They finally made it. So there's plenty of time. I mean, if they're going to do this again, which you feel they will, I mean, do you think this experiment has been a success, this second chance season?
You know what? I think that's hard. It's hard to say because I personally think it's been a success. But then, like I sent you that article, you look at ratings and ratings are down lower than ever. So I'm shocked by that. America chose these people, or supposedly, I'm not even going to get into it, but they supposedly chose these people to come back and play for all of America, and I don't understand why the ratings are down. I some sort of understand, but I guess that's a different story too. And I don't know, it's difficult.
it's interesting, yeah, because the article sort of, we might put a link up that through this on our website with it, because it's sort of saying that they're the lowest ratings that the show's ever received, essentially, through this double episode that's just aired. And I guess, it was Thanksgiving for you guys a couple of days ago, so people are kind of putting that into, as a reason why. But, Survivor's a show that has really held its own for a long time, so I guess eventually it's got to lose some ratings, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I think so, especially with the Australian Survivor coming at us. It's like, we got to pick it up before you guys take us out. So now we have some real competition. But we did have Thanksgiving, so that could be a huge reason why some of the ratings are down. Although some shows still had ratings that went up. So I'm shocked and I'm totally thrown off. But like a couple people said, you can't base everything off of one article. So I'm definitely going to look into that further. But because we picked these people to watch, it's like, what's going on here? So
I remember back when they used to have those episodes midway through a season, sort of the first 29 days, they just basically like a review episode. That was always, I think, aired on the Thanksgiving week from memory. And to air a double episode on Thanksgiving could also be a factor. Like, generally, we always get a double episode once a season. We had you on last season for the recap for the double episode. But maybe the double episode on Thanksgiving is a little bit a factor. Maybe have the one episode. Not people want to watch one episode, kill and go eat their turkey, don't they? Not 2 episodes.
That's exactly true. And I love the idea of the review episode. I think that's... They can do the review and then they can throw in some of those behind the scenes clips that everyone loves to see, so we don't have to log online and see all of the fun, juicy stuff that we don't get to see on TV every week. But yeah, doing 2 episodes in one, although I loved it, it wasn't smart, I don't think. But
yeah. It's interesting how they did it, particularly on an all-star season when, you're expecting these ratings to be maybe a little bit higher. But, again, perhaps, as you said, one article only. It's not like we're seeing 30 articles and people calling that this is going to be it and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
We know it's coming back next year. They've already filmed season 32, which was actually technically season 31, but they swapped it over. But anyway, that's
oh my gosh, isn't that wild that they already have that done? And then it's like, I don't know. I still don't know some of the people that are on that season. I know a handful of them, but that is going to be so interesting to watch now that those people have been back for, a year now or something?
It will be pretty much a year when it airs, which was, Caramoan had that, I think, happen because they filmed that back-to-back with Philippines. So by the time Caramoan aired, it had been like a year. But yeah, no, it's strange because I think they filmed the season planning it to be season 31. And then this season was meant to be 32, but then they switched it around, made this 31 and that one 32. So those poor people, season 30, what is now season 32, have to wait, you know. So there's a Survivor winner out there sitting around just watching this season who none of us know. Only they know and the people who are on their season. So it must be a very weird feeling for those people.
You know what? It's going to be shocking because they've probably had time to like mend some of their agreements and misunderstandings that they had while they were on the beach. And so they're going to go back and watch this nearly a year later and it's going to re-spark everything, you know, things that they thought they had figured out between now and then. They're going to be upset with all over.
And particularly
again.
too, coming straight after an All-Star season. As you would know, of course, your season came straight after Heroes vs. Villains. So it always seems to be that your season, Nicaragua and Vanuatu, which came after All-Stars, that both of them at the time, I feel, kind of weren't well received. But after a few years have gone by, people start to realise they're good seasons. So kind of feel that might happen next season as well. It comes off the back of an All-Star season. People are like, oh, this season's not that good. But after a few years, maybe people will respect it more so, I guess.
You know what? That's been one of the funniest things because it's like you get off of Survivor and you have like a flood of fan mail, which is amazing and totally humbling. But then that flood, it slows, but it hasn't really stopped. And I get messages all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, we just watched your season and all this crazy stuff. And it's like, people are just now getting around to Nicaragua. I think because they thought it was going to be so lame, they put it off. But here we are still shining bright. So it's kind of funny that we started off slow, but we have some serious fans still, so that's fun.
Well, it's a season that I've told you plenty of times that I'm a big admirer of. I've always sort of liked your season, and I'm glad that people are enjoying it more so than they used to. And I think, I don't know if you and I talked about this last time or I spoke about this on another episode, but your season really is the last season that we've even had a close vote at the end. Every single season since your season, the winner is won in a blowout. You know, because your season's only decided by one vote. We haven't had that since your season, Kelly. So there's lots about your season that kind of holds very true to sort of olden day Survivor compared to what we have now.
You know what? I take pride in that totally because I think sometimes when I'm watching Survivor recently in the last few seasons, I get frustrated because they're winning rewards and they have all of these luxuries that we never had or we didn't get until, 14 days in, 22 days in, all of that stuff that they're getting like right off the bat. So I would like to think that, season 21 was the last real season that you did not have those luxuries. We didn't have pillows, blankets, hammocks. We had to fight for that tarp, and that didn't come right off the bat, So that I think that that's pretty cool, and I think that that also is something that keeps the ratings up. People want to watch old school Survivor. They want to watch us struggle. They want to watch us starve and just eat each other's hearts out and go crazy on this island. And so when that's not happening, it's not as much fun, Well,
I think it's a perfect segue into my next question because I think you're the perfect person to ask this question to. We saw in these episodes this week, obviously the conditions, it's raining a lot, they're struggling out there. They come to the challenge, the immunity challenge, and then Jeff Probst offers them if 5 people or more step out of the challenge, they will have a shelter built for them back at camp for them to live a little bit more comfortably in. Now, Kelly, you struggled out there in Nicaragua. It rained a lot. Part of that was a reason why, which led to you ultimately leaving the game. Are you watching this, throwing stuff at the TV, just getting furious that this wasn't offered to you guys in your season?
You know what? Part of me is, but then at the same time, I'm like, that's not Survivor to me. So I'm like, it's not as much fun to watch everything kind of like handed to you. And I hate to put it like that because I know these people are still struggling and it still sucks. And it's way different when you're out there than when you're on the couch. But I think at the same time, like, it's not Survivor to have this handed to you, to have other people do your shelter and make it luxurious and everything else like that. Survivor is trying to put up with everything that you possibly can and, like, taking pride in what you built and what your tribe built. So that's I don't know, it's hard to say, but I'm proud of my season of Survivor. I'm proud that we didn't have everything given to us like this. So I'm going to stick with that. But props to these people for being out there living this cush life.
Well, it's fascinating the way that Jeff kind of put it, because it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. 5 people are giving up their chance at immunity. It turned out to be 8 people because, of course, Keith and Joe are the only ones who fought for immunity. But if you go back to San Juan del Sur when they basically ate their way through all their food and they asked for more, Jeff Probst comes in and he's like, well, I'm not going to make this easy for you. You've got to give me stuff for me to give you an extra bag of rice. Like, we're not here to hand you down stuff. And, of course, that happened way back in Australia. Like, okay, well, we'll give you this and this and this, but you've got to give me your tarp. You've got to give me this. Like, I'm not going to make it easy.
Yeah.
That was seen to be the easiest time Jeff Probst has ever said, oh, we'll build you a shelter and everything. You just have to give up immunity. Like, I mean, I realise immunity is your security in the game, but compared to giving up other things, I thought it was kind of, they got off lightly.
Well, you know what? If you have one strong alliance that is gonna all go for that, it doesn't matter if you win immunity or not, because if you're in that top alliance, you don't have to win immunity. Mm-hmm. And if I were playing this game and if this were my season, like, I knew I wasn't on the chopping block really hardly any time ever. I mean, there may have been one time I was worried, and then that was probably because I got in my own head because I had a crazy moment or something. But I totally would have taken the shelter over immunity because I know that I'm not the next one to go home. But Joe, for instance, who was totally killing it with immunity, he had to win, or that was he was going to go home. Like, that was his, like, he was fighting for his life at that point. So I don't feel like he had a choice. And Keith had been second to Joe before. So it's like, I don't know. I think Keith would have been fine either way, but I think that was the right thing to do, to fight for that immunity, and especially to take it from Joe anyway.
Have you been impressed with Joe this season? I mean, he's now won 4 immunities, lost the last one. We'll get to that. But obviously, when it comes to challenges, individual ones particularly, he's almost unbeatable.
You know what? He's like a Survivor freak. He's seriously has this game figured out. It is so crazy, and he was built for this game. And I think it is the coolest thing that he started off as a Survivor fan. He applied, he did everything, and has worked his way onto this show not once, but now twice. And I am like, he was seriously built for Survivor. There is nobody else that can play the game like Joe does. He goes in, and he is right off the bat a total threat to everyone because he has the whole outdoorsy thing down to a T. So, but people didn't see that right off the bat, and now it's too late. They can't get rid of him because now he's killing it in the challenges. And this is the same thing that happened with Fabio. Although in my season, Fabio wasn't like super outdoorsy like Joe. He still had to fight his way through the immunity challenges to make it to the end because he had proven himself to be a threat. So I am so impressed by Joe. I think it is great what he's doing. And like, I know Joe as a person, and I think he's such a beautiful human being on the inside, and his family, he has a beautiful family. It's like, I would love to see him just keep going like this, make it all the way through. That would be awesome. Very
much in the sort of Aussie Malcolm sort of category, isn't he? Of kind of, super dominant at challenges and likeable, not only in the show, but obviously has a very large fan base, mainly female, outside of the show. So, he kind of...
He's like the Justin Bieber of Survivor, let's be real.
I like that. I'm sure he probably...
Sorry, Joe.
I don't know if he'd like that or not. But no, well, that's a good point, actually. The Justin Bieber of Survivor. Okay, then. So he means he'll have to go to number 1 then, based on sort of chart performances and all that.
Yeah, it totally does. But you know what? Unfortunately, it's like the way things are going. The moment, I know Spencer won the last immunity, but it's like if Joe doesn't win immunity, these people are going to take him out the first chance they get. I truly believe that. So he needs to keep going with this, or I'm scared for him.
Well, do you think it was a mistake then on that they didn't take him out this week and took out Steven instead? Or do you feel Steven was a much more bigger threat and they had to take him out over Joe at that point?
No, I don't think so at all. I think that it's an absolute mistake. Although I don't want to see Joe go, they all made a stupid decision by letting Steven go, because there was no way he was going to take himself to the end on his own. Joe can take himself to the end on his own.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of the social aspect, Joe's just a threat, you know? And if he does make it to the end, he's going to win the $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I hate to, like, part of me is like, they need to take him out right away. But I can see him wanting this so bad and fighting for this so hard. I think he really could make it to the end.
Well,
Survivor runs through his blood.
Well, you're mentioning Fabio, of course, your season famously. He was sort of really the one before. I feel Mike then came along, where it's kind of like they kept winning. You just couldn't take them out. And yeah, Mike last season, key example of that. And then he ultimately won the game, just like Fabio. So yeah, exactly. I mean, he won the first 4 immunities, lost one. And what's to stop him from winning the last 4 immunities? And bang, he's in the final tribal council. He's looking very good in front of a jury to walk away a millionaire.
Exactly. I think, and you know what? Just like, for example, we've spent this chat, like, talking so much about Joe. Imagine being on the beach and having this going on, all the talk there's going to be. He is going to be the center of combo for all of these people. I mean, they're not stupid. And so many people we haven't even discussed yet because they're totally on the back burner. And it's like, that's how you make it to the end. You're not the center of conversation with everyone. You just kind of like chill and lay low, and then you sneak up like that. So it is hard. I don't want to see him go, though.
Well, it's interesting you're saying about sort of you don't want to be talked about and things like that. One person that we've been sort of, and I think a lot of people have really been saying is in the box seat right now, Jeremy. Now, he's had idols. He's been strong in terms of challenges and socially. This is a man that his name really hasn't been brought up either. I think this might have been the first week that he was on the outs of the votes, sort of he was targeting Joe and it didn't work out for him. But do you feel now that as of this point with, the fact he was on the outs, we've kind of got this other sort of group that have just bonded together to get rid of Steven. He's lost Steven. Of course, he was very close with Steven. That now is the time when people are going to be starting to come after Jeremy, because really his name hasn't been brought up at all this season.
You know what? I was thinking about that, and it's like his name has not been brought up at all. And then it's like I was going through like thinking about all the episodes, and it's like obviously I know who he is, but I'm like, what? He is so quiet in all this like that's going on. And at one point he had 2 idols. So he played one in the 2-hour episode that we just saw. He still has another one. And, people are never going to expect that because he played one already. So they're going to not think that he has a second one, I would assume. And so I think he's going to be able to save himself one more time or one more week. But I think that Joe is still going to be, like, in the limelight with them because of how well he's doing. We don't know that Jeremy can bring himself to the end, but we know that Joe can. So I think that's still going to be the biggest issue.
Well, what was amazing with this whole situation with the vote this week is that, in the second episode, is that it was clear that they wanted Joe gone. But I think it might have been Jeremy who then raised the fact, well, does Joe have an idol? So it's like, okay, then let's split the votes. We'll put some on Abby and we'll put some on Joe.
Right.
If they hadn't have split the votes, if they all just went for Joe, Joe would have gone home. So I can see why they want to split the votes, in case there is an idol. But I feel like there was more to that why did they think Joe had an idol? It was very random, I thought.
I feel like that may have been his way to get out there to see if anyone maybe would say anything about him having an idol. Mm-hmm. Do you know, like, little reverse psychology? Like,
to kind
I think
of call out people to see if he was in any danger. Yep.
Yeah, like, let's put the blame on someone else so they never guess that I have that idol.
That's a good call, actually, because I guess at the end of the day, even if he's on the outs of that vote, which he was, ultimately he still has that idol, as you mentioned.
Yes.
So he's still got security for one more week, no matter what. And he seems to be one of the people who can really get people back on his side. I mean, he's got Tash and Kimmy on his side. He's had other people that have been on him. I mean, Abby kind of seems to be that she will go whichever way the wind blows. He's worked with Spencer before. So he's still got options, which is it's kind of interesting. I think the weird thing about this season, Kelly, is that a lot of people still have options. There's been alliances, but these alliances have changed. We've seen this voting block strategy. They're really, if you look at it, I feel right now, there still isn't a solid alliance that you're saying, well, that's going to be the final four of that. This season can still go any way from this point.
Right. Well, you know what? They started off this season with the 2 tribes, then it went to 3, then it was back to 2. So we've seen 29 days of the show and nearly 3 different like tribe switches and a merge and all this. So they haven't or hardly had a chance to get settled. I mean, they've spent not even a week with one another hardly. So it's going to be hard for them to get going on a steady alliance, I think. But if you look at like the previous votes, like everything leading up to this point, Abby Marie and Kelly have been targeted multiple times up until this point. So there's going to be somebody that's still gunning for him. They didn't get him out before, so they're going to do it again. So I expect to see Abby Marie and Kelly gone soon. And I think Joe as soon as the first chance they get. So then it's like you said, you have Jeremy, Tasha, and Kimmy who are pretty tight. If they stick with that, they can make it to the end. So, and they can drag Spencer with them too, at least to get the others, the Joe, Abby Marie, and Kelly out. And then the only person left, I think, is Keith, and he hasn't really caused any issues up to this point. So I think he's going to be like a sly one that makes it all the way through. I really do.
Yeah, it's fascinating sort of looking at it that way, because like a Keith, exactly, he's there, but like his name's not getting really brought up. I mean, Kimmy is there, and no one's targeting Kimmy. So I personally feel Keith and Kimmy can easily make it final 5 without even having their name whispered. And then one of them, I feel, maybe even both, who knows, could make it into that final 3. Don't necessarily think they can win, but, they're still there. And kind of looking, you're mentioning the different switches and everything. There's only, if I'm looking at this correctly, Jeremy and Kimmy have been together from day one. They've all the switches, they stayed together. And Joe and Keith also, through the various switches, have stayed together, although we don't really see Joe and Keith too close. But Kimmy and Jeremy... No,
they're 2 that are battling it out during immunity, though.
Yeah.
Like,
and, Keith openly saying that he wants him gone, so it's kind of... They're not tight. But Kimmy and Jeremy, it's fascinating that if people are going to start coming after Jeremy eventually, they're going to have to look at Kimmy, because these 2 have been together since day one, and now with Stephen gone, you've got to feel that Jeremy's number 2 has got to be Kimmy.
Yeah, that is completely true. I just think that it's so crazy. I think that that's absolutely accurate. But every time somebody wins immunity, the whole dynamic of the tribe changes. And that is what makes Survivor so fun and so crazy, because, the first time that Keith wins, which maybe it's going to be next week, I would love to see him win an immunity. Mm-hmm. And if he's gunning for Joe, people are going to be listening to Keith because he's the one with immunity, And I feel like, although that you wouldn't have to, usually that's how it goes. You want that person on your side. So it's like, all it's going to take is one switch of this whole immunity to be won, and everything's going to change all over again. And
Keith, no slouch at challenges. He won, I think, 3 in some one, Del Sir, off the top of my head, 2 or 3. So he is capable of winning an immunity here and there. You brought up Spencer right at the top of the episode. Now,
I did, yes.
The thing I loved about Spencer this week is I think this was the very first time in the history of Spencer's Survivor career that he has instigated a vote and been on the right side of a vote. And so basically, it seemed as he was the one to come up with the Stephen vote, and he got the majority on side. So is Spencer finally getting some luck in Survivor? Because he always seems to be on the outside of luck when it comes to making moves in the show.
You know what? I hope this is his time to shine, because I think he is so dang cute. I think it's just fun, and he's entertaining for me to watch. I mean, for God's sakes, in season 28, we saw him like running down the idol with Woo on his heels. I mean, like, he is entertaining to me. That that moment right there that he had in season 28 set my whole image for him, and it was like, I want this guy to win. I want him to make the final 3 always. So, although I'm not sure that he will this time, I think also because he won immunity, people are going to be listening to him, and it's like, I'm not sure how 100% accurate this is, but the closer you get to the end, the games become a little less physical and a little more mental. And so this really could be his time to just come through and take over this game at the same time. If it sticks with that and we get the puzzle pieces and the typical like mental games like that, I think that this is going to be his opportunity to come through.
And he's had a very, very strong edit as well. He's sort of been shown basically every week, and there's a few, winner's quotes, so to speak, that are always sort of thrown in there. So it's interesting. I mean, I've always liked Spencer. I've sort of, back from, I remember pre-Cagayan, I absolutely loved the guy because it kind of seemed like he was this real cocky little shit, basically. But sort of he didn't exactly play up to that. But, we've had him on the show a couple of times, of course, in between these seasons, and I've always enjoyed Spencer. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And I made that Stephen and Spencer were very similar sort of type of people and type of players. And I pre-season said Stephen would outlast Spencer, so I'm wrong. Spencer's outlasted Stephen.
Oh, no, you were wrong.
I'm always wrong with my predictions, Kelly. Always.
You know what? I feel like my predictions have been somewhat spot on, like recently. Not with this season, but in the past, like when I've guessed a final 3 or a final 5. Okay. I feel like I'm pretty good about it.
Well, I'm looking forward
to
our final answers to see what you say. See how close you are. Well, actually, I will say, my pre-season pick to win this season is Kelly Wentworth, and she's still in the game, so this might be my closest. Your first ever. Well, it could be. I don't know out of I have to go through who I've picked to win seasons, but I don't know the furthest I've ever had a person go. So,
that is funny.
Last season, I don't know who I picked to win. Jeez, sorry. Yes, no, go ahead, please.
You totally probably picked Mike. Just say it.
Sure, I'll say that just to come across like I am right.
You're a winner always, Ben. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to put that on my business card.
Oh.
Ben, winner always. You know
what? Last season I wanted Sierra to win. I was like all for her winning.
I think
she made it pretty darn far.
Yeah, I remember pre-season I likened her a bit to Kim Spradlin, just sort of looks and how she came across during the game, but we never saw her last season, did we? She was kind of like the invisible one, so yeah. I'm really struggling to think who I picked last season to win. This is annoying me.
You know what I think is totally crazy, though? I mean, we have... Gosh, are there 4 people from season 28 on this show? We have Spencer, Tasha...
Cass and Wu went, but there were 4.
Oh, yeah, Cass and Wu. Okay, so there's 4. So if you're like, there's 4 people from my previous season, why don't you just, like, create an automatic alliance, like, just be homies with your people and go to the end? But the problem is they all hate each other. So it's like... Cass and gosh, who was it? Cass and Tasha. They can't give up the drama from season 28 to even make it further in this game. And I'm like, this is insane, because if I had my Survivor Nicaragua homies on here, I would be like giving them the eyeball, like, all right, we're in this, okay? Like, we are going to the end. There are 4 of us. No matter what tribe we're on, we're making it through this. I'd give them all those messages at the challenges like somebody else was trying to do on this season and was totally called out for. But it's like, I just don't understand, and I wish I knew what they were doing. Why can't?
Yeah, I'm with you there, because it's fascinating. I think we saw Spencer and Cass really put aside that hatred, didn't we? Because they worked together, at least was it for 1 or 2 votes. But I remember talking a little bit about that in that episode when Tash and Cass really just were against each other. And we've seen that like in previous seasons, like on Blood vs. Water with the whole Colton Monica situation, and there's Caramoan with Philip and Francesca. There's so many different seasons of that. And then if you go back to Heroes Villains, I remember people like Amanda and Sari were being targeted because they were saying, they are going to work with each other as soon as they get back together, when they were like, well, no, we weren't. But with this season right now, you point that out, there's 8 people left. 3 of them are from San Juan del Sur. So we haven't lost anybody from that season. All 3 returning players from season 29 are still in this game, in Jeremy, Kelly, and Keith. So look, who knows? And particularly the interesting thing there, Keith and Jeremy, we saw that, I think, in the first episode, that straight away they were like, we're going to put our differences aside and we're going to work together, because famously Keith was part of that one at taking Jeremy out, and then Jeremy said some pretty bad things about Keith outside of the game on the reunion, saying that he wasn't a very good player. So, they can manage to put them aside. So, yeah, why can't they?
You know what? And then I thought, it's like Spencer, he won immunity, and then he took, they had the reward where they took the helicopter to the resort, that whole thing, and it was Spencer and Tasha were actually in that together, and Jeremy was there also, but Spencer and Tasha, and I'm like, okay, maybe now we're going to see a little bit of this. Maybe they can come together now, but I mean, now that Cass is gone and Woo's gone, I'm like, you're missing half your people.
I just want to say as well, with that reward challenge, the nighttime one with the story time that we have not had in Survivor in 15, 20 seasons, longer than that, I think. So, just an amazing challenge. I mean, clearly they did that, I feel, because sadly Kelly Wigglesworth no longer in the game, but that was a throwback to season 1. But I mean, you would have had fun doing a challenge like that, wouldn't you, Kelly? Like nighttime, running around stations with little torches. That would be fun.
Oh my God, I think that would be amazing. And something else, just going back to Kelly Wigglesworth not being in the game, bringing back the challenges from every single season has made this so much fun, and partially because it's like, if these guys brainstorm, they know what's coming at them, they can plan and everything else, and if you, at the beginning of the season, if you had the right person on your tribe, you would know exactly what to prepare for, and I think that is so huge. I think that is awesome, and what a fun idea for Survivor to do that.
Definitely.
Like, they were really bringing so much back.
Yeah, and the great thing too that I know I fanboy out every single time is when Jeff Probst mentions it and says, like, we first did this challenge on season 2. Kimmy, you were there. Kimmy, you lost. Like, I don't know. I love it when they do throwbacks like that, when they remember their own history. And I'm glad that Jeff is doing that a lot this season.
I think that makes it so fun, and that totally adds to the whole thrill of the second chances. You know, these are the people that we wanted to win, and when you have people all the way from season 1 coming back to play the game, adding that history, it's like, okay, seriously, this is so much more than a reality show. This is a lifestyle that has, like, built around everyone, and so I think it's fun. I think that they've really taken advantage of the little things like that have made this season worthwhile.
One question, we talked slightly about Abby Marie. Now, Abby seems to be sort of one of these people that, I mean, let's just put it out there. I love Abby. She is gold. She's fantastic television. She's amazing to watch. But I can imagine living with Abby would be a nightmare. And now you obviously on your season had a few interesting characters. Obviously Naonka, a huge standout from your season, and some people might say she would have been interesting to live with. But how do you deal with people like that who clearly that type of personality, they're going to get on people's nerves, but perhaps you might need them because they're part of your alliance? Is there a way you deal with them, and is there a way out there you think people have to deal with Abby to keep her in a certain place so that she doesn't kind of ruin people's games?
Well, I think everyone needs to keep in mind at the end of the day, your goal is to win $1 million. So if you know you can get close to that, you're going to just shut up and just do anything you have to get to that point. But then I think about, like, if we would have Naonka on this island, for instance, with Abby Marie, like, wow. I would need to hide the machete. So it's like, I think about things like this, and how they choose all the different personalities that go into a season is fascinating. And they obviously didn't choose anyone that would hurt her, so, which they couldn't say about every season. I mean, think of somebody like Brandon Hance on a season 2. I would rather put up with Abby Marie than Brandon Hance, you know? Although I think that the Hance family I think they're great. It's like, okay, come on. But then right off the bat, Abby Marie's starting drama, and it's like, I am surprised that she's made it this far. With that initial day 1 drama, it's like, what is going on? Is she okay in the head? Because ultimately you don't know if she's just making that up to start things right away or whatever. I know she has a really strong personality. She knows she does, and she also knows that's what got her in trouble in season 25. So, you know what? I think these people just need to be patient.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but if somebody's on your alliance, I think it's easier for you to be patient with them.
And I guess...
And there's also not another extreme personality on this season that you would have to worry about with her.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess with somebody like Abby as well, is that, like, no disrespect to her, but you would feel if you took her to the end, she's quite an easy person to beat. I mean, you don't see Abby winning this game. So if you were in a position that you could take her to that final 3... you know at least one person you're going to be getting votes against them because they're not going to get any votes from you.
Right, and you know what? Now that you said that, she probably totally will win this whole entire game.
Yes. So you're learning. Yes, exactly. That's what happens with my predictions. I say something and then they win.
Spoiler alert, I think we see into the future.
Yep, there we go. I just gave it away. Abby Marie wins this season, ladies and gentlemen. Which in itself would be fantastic. I mean, let's be honest. Like, to see Abby win Survivor.
That is so funny.
Could you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
Could you imagine final tribal council? It's Spencer versus Abby. You know, Jess read 4 votes each, and then they've got 1 vote left. Spencer's there going, "Oh well, I've got this." Turns the card around, and it's Abby.
But then, think about, like, if you have Kelly make it to the end, Abby Marie make it to the end, and then somebody else that's been targeted. I mean, Tasha's been targeted hardly, barely. Who?
Could put Keith up there. I guess Keith is likable though, isn't he? But Keith hasn't really been targeted.
Yeah,
yet,
he would. Yeah. I think he'd win out of that. But you have somebody, and then you have Kelly and Abby Marie. It's like, I really don't know who would win that one because they've both had so many like little hits against them.
It's it's so interesting, I guess, in terms of how it's been edited. That we're at the final with 8 people. There's probably 5 people you could say could win this game. There's probably only, I would say right now, the only people that I could say, based purely on the edit, that I can't see winning this game is Keith, Abby, and Kimmy. I could see all the others winning, but, I mean, I could be proven wrong. Again, Kelly, as you said, I'm probably wrong there. One of those 3 is probably going to win this season, so...
You know what? My predicted number 1 winner for the season is actually Keith. I think he's going to win.
Okay.
And I don't know anything. I haven't heard anything. But just by like the way things are going, I think that he's likable enough to make it to the end. He's not a threat. But yeah, he could really surprise us.
I think you've answered one of my last questions there, Kelly, which is good. So,
Oh no! Did I ruin it?
Oh, you've ruined the entire interview. What have you done?
You know what? I'll tell you my top 3. My top 3 is Keith, Jeremy, and Tasha. So we can refer back to this moment after the finale and see.
Yes, I'm going to message
see
you
what's
going,
going on.
You were right. It's interesting though. We should mention next week, of course, it looks as though somebody nearly dies. It looks like they have to get medical in. Somebody's getting hit in the head by one of the bits there. I mean, who are you thinking that might be, Kelly?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I can't even begin to guess. I'm trying to think who I want it to be. Like, do you have any ideas? Who do you think it's going to be?
Well, we kind of based it on what they showed. So when they showed that hand on the ground, and it was kind of like, you know, it was kind of like, okay, it was a male hand, it was a Caucasian male hand, which only basically gives you Joe, Spencer, or Keith. And it looked like an older male's hand, so based on that, we said probably Keith. But, you know, they've tricked us before.
That's totally going to kill my number 1 winner.
Yes, Keith gets medevaced. I've just shot down your theory, Kelly. I've just shot it down.
I don't think anyone else will actually, like, be out of the game for medical reasons, so do you? Like, they might...
It could be a tease. Like, they do it sometimes, don't they? Yeah, like, I mean, I think based on the weeks that are remaining and the people that are left, I almost feel there has to be like a quit or a medevac, because I think we've just got one person too many based on what we've got left. Having said that, though, it could be a red herring. Like, they're trying to make us believe, like, oh my god, who's going home? And it'll be one of these ones. They'll get medical in. The person will get up and just be like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, okay. Or Kelly, it could be a loved one, because remember, the loved ones are coming back next week, so maybe one of the loved ones gets injured.
Oh, that's a good thought. You know what? This is actually the largest merge, I believe, in Survivor history.
It is, yes.
And so you're right. With the days left, the number of people, we have 8 people, 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
But
3
assuming that there's
episodes
a
left,
final 3, do you think there's going to be a final 3?
I would assume so. Unless they say, hey, let's have a final 4 for once, but I don't see it being a final 2 based on the numbers that we've had and the merge. It makes sense for there to be a final 3. I'd love there to be a final 2, don't get me wrong, but no, I think it's a final 3.
No, I like final 3.
You like final 3?
I think so. But even then, that's 5 people left to go home in a 10-day time, and nobody goes home on day 39. So they're going to have to do like a double elimination episode.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, based on the weeks left, unless because sort of the last year or two, where they've scrapped the Sunday finale and they just have the 2-hour finale on the Wednesday. So based on that, there should be 2 normal episodes left and then the finale, which means that if you were to have 2 just standard eliminations, we'd have a final 6 on that finale, which means we'd have to have 3 eliminations before we get to the final tribal council, which I guess they could do. I mean, that's not out of the realms of possibility. They've done things like that before, but based on that and based on the preview, you would expect there to be a medical, a medevac, or I doubt a quit, but a medevac, I reckon.
Right. I don't know. That weather's been really rough. But I also think, you know what? This is totally crazy, which I'm sure they haven't done or they won't do. But they have family come. What if family did a vote off right there and voted somebody else off?
Yeah, that's true.
Wouldn't that be so wild?
Well, you never say never. I mean, we've had these random, extra vote, steal a vote twists, and back in Pearl Islands, the jury won immunity. There is... they're open to twists like this, so, hey, that could be an idea.
Yeah. I think that would be really funny to watch. And not totally fair because the family doesn't, know anything about anyone, but...
Yeah. That would get complaints. I'm telling you now, the fan community would get very angry over that. I'm willing to give it a try. I'm always open to see how new twists can work. But I knowing the Survivor fan community quite well, I can tell you 98% of them would scream bloody murder over that.
Not a good idea.
Yes.
What do you think about Vita? You say Vetus, right?
Vetus, yes.
Vetus, okay. What do you think about him going home first?
It was... Yeah, well, I was shocked because I thought he would go quite deep in this game. I think I had him finishing in my top 5.
Then we should have known.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I mean, look, on paper, the obvious first boots were people like Cass and Shireen and, even an Abby would have been a...
Well, Shireen wasn't far off from that.
No, exactly. But, no, it wasn't. It was a shock, and I still feel to this day that the reasons behind his vote were never fully explained. It was kind of strange how it all came about. I think we got a yoga scene, didn't we, that kind of tried to give reference to why he was voted out.
Totally. It's this doesn't even make sense. I didn't think the pieces added up to that. But then, moving on to Shireen, she was the second one voted out. And I kept thinking that, with the way she ended last season, with the way she ended season 30, I am not surprised at all. That was awful for her to end it that way. And then to be pulled out right back into the game after everyone knew, the truth about everything. I thought, oh, man, this is not going to go over well.
Yeah, I kind of thought that she was, unless with everything that happened, that could have helped her in a way. That could have been something that got her far. But I always kind of felt she was going to go early. Out of the ones who went early, I think... Really, a lot of them weren't too much of a shock. Monica was probably somebody who a lot of people predicted as a potential winner because based on All-Star seasons, it's always kind of that person who many people question why they've even been brought back that goes very far. Jeff Varner, obviously, we're all still crying that Varner went very early because we all love Varner.
I know. I was upset about that.
Yeah, Varner was just... gold. And Terry, I guess, too, the circumstance that Terry went out was pretty terrible. But I think in all honesty, though, a lot of us call that one with Terry, just because we've been following the updates of his son through social media since they've gotten back.
Yes.
So it kind of wasn't necessarily a huge surprise to those who kind of knew his situation that happened. So yeah, sad,
you know what? Yes, I was friends with them on Facebook before he left, and then all of a sudden I started seeing the posts, and Terry wasn't in any of the posts. And all summer I'm like, please God, I hope Terry's home, because they weren't showing any photos. It's like, okay, he has to be. Like, there's no way that he wouldn't be here for this. But I am so glad at the outcome of that, and that is an amazing family. They are so, so strong, and they have had so many prayers from around the globe that it is beautiful. Yeah. And that right there is when I'm so thankful to be a survivor. It's so much more than just a reality show. It is a family. And we come together when it's important. We are all together.
Yep,
so,
absolutely. Yeah,
I love it.
We're very, very glad that Danny's doing well, and I think I saw a post from them not too long ago, actually, that he seems to be really recovering quite well with everything that happened. So it's great, fantastic, and we're very happy to hear that. Kelly, we've got a couple of listener questions, and then we'll get into our final 5, which you've already answered one of them, which makes my job a little bit easier. I only have to ask you 4 questions. Now, first question, I'm going to give this one first because you know this person who's sending this question in. Jimmy, our dear former Oslet Jimmy, who comes over every year and gives you Tim Tams. He hasn't given me Tim Tams to give you, though, Kelly, sadly, at the moment, but I'm sure he can organise some for you.
Oh my gosh, you know what? Like, my jeans are so tight, and I fully blame it on Jimmy and the Tim Tams because those things are so addicting.
You do know that I'm bringing Tim Tams over to San Diego next year, so...
Then I'm going to have to buy pants a size bigger, like, for your arrival, because... Oh my gosh, they are so good.
You've got like 4 or 5 months to buy those pants.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Jimmy says, my question to the ever so awesome and the amazing Kelly Shinn is, if you had the 2-vote advantage, how would you have played it? Would you have split the votes or just cast 2 votes for the same person? It seems that Stephen wasted the use of his advantage as he was so obsessed in getting rid of Joe.
You know what? I totally agree with that. I think splitting the votes would I don't see as much strategy behind that as actually placing 2 votes for the same person. Mm-hmm. If you want somebody gone, like, just go for it. But, oh my gosh, that's a hard one. It totally depends on the situation. I think I'd have to do 2 votes for the same person.
I think that works the best. And I think, because I was trying to work it out, had he done the 2 votes, would that have affected the outcome? It wouldn't have. I mean, as I said before, what really screwed them over is splitting the vote. But you'd think, like, giving 2 votes on one person is the key thing there, because he was using Joe's vote to vote for Joe, and then he still used his vote to vote for Abby. So I mean, if you look at it that way, that's just no different to Joe voting for Abby and Stephen voting for Joe. So there's no real difference there. You've got the power to have that extra vote, use it to double the power up and get someone gone.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really make sense to me to split it, although I understand every situation would be different. Mm-hmm. But did he have to use it right away?
As in, like, that night when he used it? Well, I think... Yeah. I think based on them splitting the vote, they thought they had the numbers. When as soon as he says, I want to use it, he had to use it. The funniest thing is, though, is that we saw last season with Dan using his... Dan had the 2 votes. He could vote twice, whereas Stephen he could steal a person's vote and then vote twice. But both times it was played, Dan got voted out that night because Carolyn played her idol, and Stephen got voted out. So I don't know if you remember back in the day when they used to have the car reward challenge, and they said it was the car curse, because if you won the car, you never won the game. I've kind of got a feeling that they're going to turn this into the, extra vote curse, because both times persons had it, they've been voted out that night. So
totally.
Yeah.
They totally are. And you know what? It's like, I know they already filmed season 32, but season 33, like, don't take this. Like, if you're going to get it, don't take it, because I think you're, like, gypping yourself of the $1 million. You're going to go home when you use it.
Yep, I agree with you.
It's totally a curse.
Going to be interesting. One of our long-term listeners, Zachary Chong. Now, he's got a couple of questions here, but I love this question. I was going to bring this up anyway, but I saved this up till his question. How do you...
I love it already.
How do you feel about your Kelly Purple title now being joined by Kelly Wigglesworth, who was barely seen this season? So we were calling her Purple Kelly. You've got another Purple Kelly here, Kelly, like another Kelly who's barely seen at all and then voted out sort of towards the end. So how do you feel about this?
You know what? Just to set the record straight, I will always only be the only Purple Kelly.
Yes.
There is only one of me. I don't think I'm more upset. I don't know if I'm more upset about there being another one, or the fact that I am 25 and still have this title thanks to Survivor. So I think it's kind of funny. I mean, Kelly's the whole Kelly thing. It's like Kellys have taken over Survivor.
Yes.
There are always one of us around somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I think it's funny, but I wish that she did get more airtime. That would have been nice to see.
Yes, no, we all felt that one because out of all the people that were on this season, she was one I was most excited for, and it was a tragedy that we barely saw her. But I think really, you're absolutely right about the Kellys on Survivor. I've lost track of how many we've had, but we can easily have a season now, Kelly, where it will be like Survivor season 36, Kellys versus Robs, or like Kellys versus Johns.
Yes.
Like,
yes. Oh my God, I know we could, that would be so funny. Nobody could keep us straight. But Kelly Wigglesworth, I wanted her to go so far, and it's like she was on season 1. Like, she's a total legend, and I was sad when she left. I really was.
Yep, still feeling that one. Aiden, I can never say his last name. Sorry, Aiden Abaleda. I'll get it right one time. I seriously, I butcher it every single week. Who on this season do you think would look the best with purple hair?
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess not Jeremy, right?
I'd say that would work.
Let's put Spencer in purple hair. Can we do that?
Yeah, why not? I hope he listens.
Yeah, why
if not, somebody can Photoshop it. You know, purple hair, Spencer.
Nice lavender locks.
Yes. I can imagine Keith with purple hair. Damn, I've never had purple hair before.
Oh my God, we could do his whole beard though. That would be fun.
Purple Keith.
He'd be so cute, purple.
That would look awesome. Oh, there you go. Thanks,
I know.
Aiden.
If you do one of the blonde girls, I think it'll just look silly. So it's like we have to do one of the guys.
Yeah, and we can't, get...
Let's just Photoshop everyone's hair, like all the contestants with purple hair. Let's do everyone like that.
Yes. I want Jeff Probst to come out one week with purple hair and just...
Oh my gosh. That would be so funny. He would look awful.
I think Lex, doesn't he always have purple hair now? Like, isn't his hair just permanently purple? I don't know if you... Lex from Survivor Africa? I think I always see...
Yeah, well, his wife has the most beautiful hot pink hair that I have ever seen. Mm-hmm. I don't know if his is purple, though.
I swear, I know there's a colour in there. I see sort of his posts up on Facebook every now and then, so I'll have to check that out.
Well, probably. Have you seen his wife's hair?
Yes, I have. Yes.
She is a badass.
Yes.
I just love her.
What's so fantastic about his wife is that if you actually go back and watch Africa and see kind of just how close and in love they are, they still seem to be that close and in love based on what I see them posting on social media. And that's like 13, 14 years ago that was. So that's fantastic.
I think that's so awesome.
Yeah.
He is a really nice person. I spent time with him at Hearts of Reality this year, and I loved him. Like, he's just so comfortable to be around, and he's fun, and he's a cool dude. Mm-hmm. I like him.
Yep. Definitely. Hello, Lexi.
I would have liked to see him back on this show.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's kind of interesting, like, obviously the rules, you had to be your second time, but based on his second time, which sort of didn't go overly well on All Stars, it would be good to see Lex come. I think enough time has passed now to allow Lex to come back and have a true second chance, I guess you could say.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hello, Lex, if you're listening. Go back on the show. We'll vote for you. Now, our final questions. Now, you've already answered one for me, Kelly, which is good. And you sort of answered one for me. You gave me your final three. I've got your winner. But if you'd have a dark horse, who could sneak through for the win, do you feel?
Oh, gosh. So if Keith weren't to win, you know what? I think Jeremy can win this game. Jeremy? I really do.
Okay. Locked in. I'm just writing that down. I'm just actually looking at your answers from last season. You joined us last season. Again, as I said, the double episode. It seems to be a trend. We get you on every time there's a double episode.
Yes.
4 and 5 you were on last season. You said Rodney would win. Oh, that would have been so good had Rodney won.
Oh my gosh, he's another nice person. I really enjoy his company. I think he's great. And you know what? He is so different in real life than how I viewed him from watching him on the season. I totally thought he was going to be your typical Jersey Shore, Pauly D, the situation type guy. But I think he has a heart, and he's nice.
Good to know. Good to know. I love Rodney.
Yes.
Great guy. Well, I've never met him, but he looks like a great guy. You said your dark... Well, this one's all right. Dark horse, you said, was Will, and he ended up making it to the final tribal council. So, you know, good guess there. You said next to go would be Jen. Now, I don't know what episode. I don't think she went in episode 6, but she only went a few more after that. And you said you were most similar to Sierra, which I think that's a good call. Well done.
I mean, you don't know how true that really is, but I think because we're both
yes,
we're both tall, blonde, fun girls, so it's there we go.
That we never got to see, sadly, and were robbed of getting a bigger edit. So, there you go. Who's the next to go, Kelly? Who's getting voted out next week?
Oh gosh. You know what? I'm going to say Kelly. I think she's next to go. I think Joe's going to stick around with this immunity for another couple weeks, and I think we'll see Kelly go, and if not Kelly, then definitely Abby Marie. I think she'll be the next, and it's only because they've been targeted previously, so I think they're going to be easy to go for again to at least save the other people. They're going to group together and put a target on anyone's back just as long as it's not themselves at this point.
Well, she mentioned when Wigglesworth got voted out, there's only room for one Kelly on this island. So I guess you could start saying, well, there's room for one Kelly in the world of Survivor. I don't know, that was a bad...
Yes.
I'll try to get something funny out of that, Kelly, but I think it failed miserably. So you see where I was going with that, though.
Yes, that counts.
That counts. Now, you're not allowed to answer yourself from this for this question, Kelly. So, who from your season do you think most deserves a second chance?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I think I would. Oh, this is such a good question. I guess Brenda already got her second chance. Mm-hmm. Well, Fabio, he already won, so he's not even eligible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. You know what? Let's totally make this crazy. Let's put Nyanka on there again.
Yes. Oh, I'd love that.
Why not, right? Mm-hmm. She is wild. She's crazy. She's fun. She's a great person. Let's watch her on TV again.
And I definitely feel, had she not quit, she would have been brought back already, because she was just fantastic to watch, and she was decent at playing the game. I think people seem to overshadow the fact of how she was on screen, that she was a crap player, but I don't think she was a crap player. I feel she could have easily won your season.
Yeah, she had it going on. And at one point she had the immunity idol. So it's she was savvy. She knew what she was doing. So, and you know what? She makes great TV. Regardless of the decisions she makes on the show, she makes great TV, and she is a good person. So it's that's what I want to watch. That's what I enjoy watching.
Definitely with you there. Final question for you today. Kelly Shinn, out of all the players on this season, now again, it doesn't have to be the ones that are still left in the game, can be people who have been voted out. Who do you feel is playing most similar to how you played on Survivor Nicaragua?
Oh my gosh, that's such a hard question. Shoot, definitely not Abby Marie, but...
Are you sure about that? I see the similarities. You were walking around calling everybody poopy pants.
I know. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you know what? This is hard because it's like I don't have any, like, there's not a specific moment I feel like that sticks out where I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just like me. But I liked Monica. I think I would like to say my game is like resembles hers, but then again, she was like 5th out of the game. So you know what? I'll say Monica.
Monica?
Which is totally off, probably, but I just enjoyed her. So
you can say
I would like to think that I'm enjoyable.
Point of that
too.
question, you can say whoever you want to. So we'll lock in.
Who would you say I'm most similar to?
Well, you know, the obvious one is obviously to say Kelly Wigglesworth based on the edit. But
That's
look,
true.
And I'm not just saying this because her name's Kelly and she's blonde, but I can see some elements of a Kelly Wentworth. I feel that if you were to come back a second time, that I think based on what happened to you in the game, the fact that you quit, that is, I think, a huge reason why your edit was why it was. Had you gone out on a regular vote, you would have gotten much more screen time and we would have seen much more about what you were doing.
You would have seen so many more blonde moments.
But I feel as though you would be like a Kelly Wentworth on a second time around, is that you'd be out there, not a lot of people would be targeting you for your long time. You would be, out there working your magic and sort of getting in there and being in alliances and sort of working your way as much as you can. And I think similar to what Kelly's doing, she's surprising a lot of people this season in terms of she's playing a good game. I think you could be that type of person on a second go around and really surprise people. So I would choose one of the Kellys, not just purely on the base that your name is Kelly, just like theirs.
Maybe there's like an underlying like psychological point to this, all the Kellys playing.
Out of all, the Kellys,
I would like to think I am similar to her, and I would like to think that a second chance that I would come in and like rule the game. I think that I totally agree. People are a little surprised and excited to see how she's playing and what she's doing, so that's fun.
And finding idols under shelters and waiting for people like Abby to leave.
God, isn't that insane?
That was gold.
Yes.
I loved watching her facial expressions every time she's like, like looking at Abby every single time she wouldn't leave the camp.
But I totally would not have the guts to grab it at the immunity or at the challenge.
Yeah.
I don't have had.
It's an interesting twist. I like that twist. I think it's worked well.
Yes.
It really adds to the drama of it all. So, yeah.
Oh my God, it does.
Yeah. Oh, fascinating times, Kelly. And look, we always do love having you on this show. As we said, we'll make this a regular thing. And look, next time, season 32, we might even be doing it in person. Who knows? Heading over that way, of course.
That'd be fun.
We could work it out so that for whatever week the episode that would be, during end of March, start of April. So it's only going to be one of the first few episodes, first half. We could make that work that way. Who knows? I'll get my people to call your people, and we'll see how it all works out.
Yes, have your people call my people.
Yes, it's all the scheduling.
We're so fancy.
Yeah, well, we lead very busy lives, Kelly. Like, we've got to make sure that things are sort of run smoothly. So
yeah, well, we're like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt here. Like, we have like people and private jets, places to be and things to see all the time.
And we have a thing for getting children from each continent and making movies and directing them now. So, yeah, I see the similarities there very much so.
I think we've lost our minds a little bit now, officially.
We have. That usually happens at this point in any episode of Survivor Oz. But Kelly, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure as always. And we will speak to you, no doubt, very soon here again on Survivor Oz.
Thank you so much. It was so nice talking with you.
And there we go. Purple Kelly Shinn. Always an absolute pleasure to have on the show. A regular each year, each season. Again, as I keep saying, I keep getting the years and seasons mixed up, but just a lot of fun. And as I always tend to mention at the end of these ones when we have Kelly on, robbed of seeing more of her on the season during Nicaragua. So, yes, if you want to hear more of our previous interactions with Kelly, SurvivorOz.com, click on interviews. There's episode recaps, interviews, and a whole kit caboodle of other appearances. Same with all the other people that have been on the show. Next week, we are looking at, and again, I'm always very just loosely saying who we might have on the show because schedules do change. We say that one person's going to be on, and sadly things do get changed up a little bit. But as of right now, it does seem as though we might be having the Queen of Survivor herself, Miss Sandra Diaz-Twine, returning to the show for the first time, I think, in about 2 seasons. So keep an eye out for that. We will confirm during the week if that is the case. In the meantime, as I mentioned, SurvivorOz.com, fantastic looking website now. We've upgraded a little bit, made it a little bit more adult. So thanks to Oz at Ryan for doing that, and also for stepping in last week with John and Jacqueline. Oz Topsies will be back again this week, as per usual, back to being live. And a lot more still to come. Australian Survivor, stay tuned for that. Lots of stuff coming up, and if you're an Australian, you can apply for Survivor. How great does that sound? Still can't get used to saying those words. But that's it for this episode 1011 recap Survivor Cambodia. Thanks again to Purple Kelly. My name is Ben, the Tribe Spoke, and we will speak to you next time on The Trains.